want to do is tell everyone that applying to graduate business school is a very complicated and time-consuming process, and really you should be prepared. I know that sort of people applying in the second round this year, particularly the schools in North America, that is usually between the middle and the end of January, so it's coming up very, very quickly. That does not leave you a whole lot of time. The third round for most of these schools is sometime in mid-March. That gives you a little bit more time, but I really want to emphasize, if at all possible, you get your applications into the second round. But never at the expense of really rushed work. Rushed work usually results in substandard applications. You never want to apply to graduate business school, particularly in this environment with substandard applications. Let's really first talk about the first thing, which is sort of like the essays, and this is the things that most people really sort of like dread and fear. Each school has really their own unique set of essays, as we just spoke. They really range between 2 and 7 essays, ranging in size between 250 and 1,500 words each. So if you want to think about it, that's a lot of writing you have to do. It's a lot of original writing that you have to do, because once again, overlap is at a minimum. The biggest problem that people have when they write their essays, they really don't answer the question that's being asked. They write the question that they think they want to answer, or content that they want to get across. It's really critical that you answer the question that's being answered, and you answered it correctly. This is really actually one of the few places where you come to life. A lot of application processing is very, very analytical. Your GMAT scores are analytical. Your grades are very analytical. But this is one of the few places you come to life. You're able to share your goals, your experiences, your lessons learned in life, your major accomplishments, your major failures, your life philosophies. And these are, and most importantly, your career goals and your reasons for wanting to get a graduate business degree. These are really, really critical. Now, let's go back to what I emphasized before, to make sure you're answering the question you're being asked and giving them the content they want. There are a few things that people do in terms of writing essays that are basically no-nos. And the first thing is that people do is they really focus on sort of giving too much background detail. And people in admissions are generally pretty smart. They've read a lot of applications. They pretty much will understand your applicant's characteristics. They'll understand your work history. They'll understand pretty much what you do pretty quickly, because you're not the first candidate probably like you who's applying. So the amount of background information you have to give about a situation is minimal. For instance, they ask you a question about what your 3 major accomplishments are. While they do care what the accomplishments are, they care more that you've learned from these accomplishments. They want you to be able to demonstrate what you've learned from these accomplishments. So the learning component is much more important than the actual accomplishment. Likewise, if it's a failure, they really don't care all that much what the failure is. Of course, they want to know what the failure is, but they care more that you use this negative learning experience. They want to see what you've learned from this negative learning experience, and then really how you've applied that in subsequent academic and professional endeavors. And so, it's a question of not necessarily focusing on the negative thing or the failure. It's focusing on the learning and then the application of that knowledge. If they ask you a question like, if you get stuck in an elevator for a day with 3 people, who would they be? Don't go into detail about who the person was. Go into detail of sort of how you'll leverage that experience to learn, as well as why you chose that particular person. It's a chance for you to really portray yourself using somebody else as a backdrop. So these are questions. They're questions about you, and they really want to know who you are. If the 3 people you get stuck in the elevator with are like Oprah Winfrey, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama, they know who they are. They don't need for you to tell who Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and Oprah Winfrey are. What they want to do is they want to see how you're going to leverage being exposed to them, as well as how you see yourself really through these people. So once again, really look what they're asking and really ask her the question. Remember, the end audience is they just sit on the admissions committee deciding whether you're a good candidate or a bad candidate for their school, okay? And they want to get to know as much of you as possible. So this is really the only place you're able to do it, and the only way you're able to do it is through these essays. So there's a lot of moving components here, but I really think about, before you start answering, really think about it. And remember, it's not so much about giving them so much background detail information. They're more concerned about the future. Now, the one essay that's really almost across the board asked, with the exception of Harvard Business School, is I call usually essay question number 1. It's basically, who are you? Why you plan a business school? Why this business school? And what are your career goals? Schools ask for this now anywhere between 500 and 1,500 words. Harvard is the exception. They have a 400-word essay that asks about your career vision. This is the most important question of the package. If you don't get this one correct, they really don't read your other essays with all that much intensity. You really have to convince them about your candidacy here. Within this question, the most important part is really defining both your short and long-term career goals. Both your short and long-term career goals have to be innovative, they have to be lofty, and they have to be different from what you're doing today. Because obviously business school is sort of the period between what you are today and who you want to be tomorrow, and it's really the skills and experiences that you gain that really bridges between the two. So that actually is the most important component of the most important question. The second most important component of that question is, why do you want an MBA? So you really have to highlight what skills and experiences you want to gain from getting a graduate business degree. And the next most important part of this question is, why this particular school? And this is where most people fail. They just pretty much repeat what's on the website. This is where you really have to do some personal thinking and really personalize the whole experience of going to this particular business school. They want to see they want to see a lot of research done, and they want to see that research really personalized. So really think about why you want to go to the school. And really, when they talk about going to school, it's not all about the academics. There's a lot, for instance, Wharton considers their extracurricular activities an equal component to their academics. So they want you to talk about leveraging the whole experience, whether it be extracurricular activities, whether it be getting and knowing your fellow students well, whether it be study abroad opportunities, whether it just be pure academics. They want to know that you have a holistic approach to your education. They want you really to portray that in your essay, that you're going to take advantage of all the resources the school has to offer. It could actually be another component of another part of the university that really complements your career goals. So really think about why the school and why all the benefits and advantages it has to offer. The least important part of this essay is really describing who you are. We call it the historical aspect of this essay. While it is critical for them to get an idea of who you are and what you've done and what you've accomplished, once again, it's more important. Business schools are betting on you for your future, not what you did. And while the past behavior and past accomplishments are really an indicator of the future, they're not really totally aligned, because a lot of people made decisions in their lives about careers when they were very, very young. And as they matured throughout the application process, they learned a lot about themselves. They learned a lot about different industries and things like that. So it's very interesting to see really who they are and who they want to be. And business schools, once again, are more concerned with who you want to be.